Muted. Muted. I don't want to hear myself. And that will be the link. Okay. I want to put my desktop there all the time. So, we will start with Bitcoin again. So, we're obviously coming off the highs from the ETF approval. And I mean, that was the high of the ETF approval. The actual ETF approval versus the day before. And we are now sitting at basically 42, which means that we've basically held over 40, which isn't bad for Bitcoin at least. But more importantly, the bigger picture for me is always looking at this combination of looking at the amount of ounces of gold in one Bitcoin. And as far as we stay over 16 ounces, technically we are in a bull run still, or bullish territory. So I'm not going to say we're safe, but I can say we're safely above 16. So if you look at history, every time, so December 2020, we cleared 16. That was when the real bull run started. We had a high of, 69,000. Just in respect to gold, it came to almost visit there again, went up again. And when it broke down, this was, let me check what year. So June 2022 is when we dipped below there, and we stayed under there for quite a while. Visited there June 2023, broke it only in October 23. Which, I mean, if we can superimpose the history, we're probably looking for much higher up. Interesting point is that Bitcoin dominance has come down, which for me is a good thing in terms of alts. When Bitcoin dominance is increasing and Bitcoin price is increasing, it's not good for alts. Unless you're a Bitcoin holder only. But if price stays stable and this comes down, then you'll definitely see money fly out into the alts. And another one is ETH against BTC. That's done a run up. So there's quite a competitive space now in what they call the newer layer ones. And wow, I was showing Kiru the other day. CoinGecko. So I prefer to look at crypto via sectors. Why is it so bright? Am I able to make it dark? Yes. And a big growing sector is what they call deep in, but it basically means decentralized physical infrastructure. So if you look at Filecoin is probably equivalent to I want to say Microsoft SharePoint. Now, I mean, and when you ask somebody about Microsoft SharePoint, then they say, okay, what's its competitor? Then they say, well, Google Docs. I'm like, okay, so why is Google Docs free and Microsoft SharePoint has fully fledged paid staff and everything? Anyway, so Filecoin is sort of on that level of things. Then Render is a decentralized version of, well, I mean, I think the name gives it away, Render. So anyone who does video editing and stuff like that and heavy tech work, the final file you have to render, and that at the same time renders your machine almost, useless to you because it's using all the resources. So what render does is a decentralized network that can allow any unused resources or computers in the network to render your files, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, this is a fairly interesting side of the world. I mean, I don't always do it justice, but I mean, it's worth looking into. So, if you go down here, you'll see like Theta Network it's also video streaming, but in a decentralized fashion. Helium is probably something I wish that we had working here. So basically, in the Helium network, you buy these, for lack of a better word, nodes, but they're actually Wi Fi hotspots. And as people buy them and connect them to the network, they start distributing internet. And you earn HNT token as the people connect to these things, which is a good earning curve for somebody, but it's very difficult to have gotten it to work in South Africa. And I think it needs a certain amount to be there. And it's never been cheap. And they've moved the token over to Solana now. And I don't know if the reason that they don't need the token anymore, but it still exists and it's been pumping lately. And it just goes down. So for everything that exists in the real world, there's sure. Whose phone is that? I'm seeing some really
Hello.
old names here. I'm gonna mute Prakash for now. 'Cause I think that's his phone. Um,
Just mute that guy, man. Mute that guy.
but for me, I think in terms of real world usage, I think deep in is probably going to be a sector that we have to look at. If anything, they actually got products that work. I'm a bit annoyed with myself because I know I have holochain somewhere, but for the life of me, I can't remember the exchange or whether it was a wallet. Yeah. I reckon a big one would be something that could compete with Google Drive. The problem is that Google Drive is a paid thing and there's a high level of encryption because there's data there. So it's similar to iCloud. And when you got decentralized, there needs to be some sort of financial incentive. And I know the Ultimail guys, I think it's Ultimail, Alta email. I don't know which one's this is the one. So what they built is and I know privacy, I always have a go at people about privacy. It's not really a big thing to the average person, but if you could picture this is probably the most secure way of chatting on the internet in its entirety because you log in with your private key and literally no one can see what you're doing. What they've added on top of it is storage. So similar to like your Gmail account, you have a certain amount of storage you can put into the cloud. So imagine that in a decentralized fashion, secure, and there's no way that any law enforcement can subpoena anything because they'd have to go over your rights as a private citizen. And I don't subscribe to the thing. If you've got nothing to hide, why should you? I just think you should be able to do something without people viewing things. I'm not saying buy Alter, although please buy Alter. It's cheap now. Let's check. What's the price? 2 cents. I think at its high it was $1.80. No, almost $2. Um, Unfortunately, it goes the way of all privacy things, in that the majority of people don't care about privacy. Um, I do think this had a lot more to do with the fact that it's on the secret network, and secret had some issues. Hmm. I'm rambling on here, so I mean, if you've got questions, you must just let me know. Let's go back to the chart. So I wouldn't say we in. I think we had our alt runs. Now we have to look at what's Bitcoin going to do now again. Let's just switch this closes if they don't mean anything on the dominance. I mean, ideally, you'd want it to come into this area still, and price to remain still at 40. Then you'll see some more alts fly. Um, December was obviously meme coin central for some reason. I'm not even sure what kicked it off. I think it was Doge again, and then Bonk. Um, I'm sure we spoke about the total crypto market cap, which is increasing strangely enough. It all depends on where we fit in the category. I think if we're looking at the global market, then crypto's finding its space in the bigger world space, and there's fights going on between the bigger funds now. So I'm not sure if you guys follow what happens with the ETF, but in the simplest term, Grayscale has always been the only entity that institutions could get involved with Bitcoin. And I think they still own something like 619, or not own, but have 619,000 Bitcoin under their control. And if I read the numbers correctly, I think BlackRock now has 16,000 Bitcoin under its control. Vanguard, who is number one in the finance world, so it's BlackRock and Vanguard are the sort of competitors to each other. Vanguard has refused to open the, what do you call it, offers. So although they might have physical Bitcoin, they have not made it available to their clients. And then I don't think they're going to until it grows up a bit. And the hilarious part, so they're being made of fun of by the crypto people because Vanguard has built its reputation around buying and holding, which is literally what you do with Bitcoin. So it's quite funny. But also, if you are a high net worth individual and you want to get in crypto, or Bitcoin at least, and you're a Vanguard client, I think now's the time you're going to start jumping ship, isn't it? Because if you want that and they're not offering it, well, there's other people that do. And the biggest thing that any financial institution has is that the penalties that they will inflict on you if you decide to move money. And I used to have this thing with insurance. I change as soon as they increase the price. I change, and they say, "Look, you're going to pay." I said, "I don't care. Cars go down in price every year. Why is your fees going up?" And they tried to give me a story about 10 rand, 10 rand. I said, "Listen, doesn't matter to me. Car price go down, insurance go down." Simple. But if we're looking at a high of 3 trillion in, I mean, if we compare, I guess we can probably triple this. Then, so we're probably looking at about 4.5 trillion as a conservative high for a bull market. And now I want to stress that everybody's talking about the bull market now. When everybody expects something, we need to accept the fact that it's not going to work that way. Um, Markets tend to do the opposite of what everybody expects. I'm not saying we won't have a bull market. I'm saying it might not look the way we want it to look. And as I say, history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. So I'm going to say the timeline might not be exactly the way we want it. I do think this ETF thing, although it's a net positive for the entire space, is probably not going to pan out as high in price for now. For the next few months, I think they're going to fight that out. Because I think the GBTC, the grayscale Bitcoin, had something like a 2% premium, whereas if you go by BlackRock, it's 0.25. And, sometimes they're even waiving the fee because they just want your business. I don't think BlackRock cares much about the price as such, because they will accumulate whichever they want. They're making money on fees, and we're talking billions and trillions. So 1% or 0.25% is quite a lot of money for doing nothing but just facilitating. In their mind, it's probably fictitious buys and sells, because, I mean, you're just holding Bitcoin in a wallet. They're not even the custodians. Coinbase is. So it's just a phone call and saying, "Hey, buy so much." Um, where we do see upside for Bitcoin is that the supply crunch will obviously halve in around April, May. Um, and we know that at this point, it's 900 Bitcoin a day is available. Whether it's actually available, we don't know, because the miners don't always sell. And last time I checked, it's about between 36 and $37,000 to mine a Bitcoin right now. So if a miner is needing to sell for that few thousand profit to pay their bills, they will. If they don't need to, they'll probably hold out for better pricing, because at this point you can mine for 37. If they're presuming Bitcoin to be 100K by the end of the year or early next year, they would have doubled, tripled, if that makes any sense to people. But everything's about cash flow per month for a miner, because the mining side is not worried about Bitcoin as an asset always. They accumulating Bitcoin and they're mining for it, but they're ultimately a dollar-based company because they're there for profit. Because if they were purely just wanting to accumulate Bitcoin, they wouldn't be selling their Bitcoin at all. They wouldn't open up shop. And, it's like we don't necessarily know how the deals happen, but a lot of it doesn't happen on exchange. There's high net worths. I mean, I think there was an entity in Dubai looking for 50,000 Bitcoin. They can't just go buy it. At this point, they'd have to wait at least 2 months or something if they bought 900 per day every day, full amount. So one needs to know how these things work. And I suppose somebody who's sitting on 50,000 Bitcoin, why would they sell it now? So there is demand for Bitcoin. Supply is not always as clear. I mean, you can't just go to an exchange and buy 50,000 Bitcoin. You could on the inside of the exchange. Trying to withdraw that Bitcoin, you may not get it. I think you'll be able to do 100 at a time or something, which would allow them time to get the actual Bitcoin ready. Because it's not like even Binance might have that Bitcoin, but it certainly doesn't keep it in a hot wallet, which is where your withdrawal would come from. I don't know. Any question? It's the smartest people. um, I think a lot of the projects that will release are probably going to be the better ones. Like I was busy chatting in a group and they were going on about Cardano, and I'm like, I really don't know why people are so fascinated by it. I suppose XRP is another one in there, but there's time to let sleeping dogs lie. And if you're in the third cycle and the thing is not done, well in price, I mean, it might have a good pair of people holding it, but it's a negative for you holding that coin because imagine, let's say there's a new token coming out at the end of 2024 called Monad. There is. Nobody has it yet. So there's interest for it. There's only upside for the coin because if you look at the Discord, there's quite a lot of activity. And if you look at something like Beta Chain, I'll show you a chat on slow mode. I can never find the thing when I'm looking for it. There we go. So part of the quest is that when you join the Discord, you don't get a full access role. You have to become a bearer cub or something. Now you see they typing it. It goes like this whole day because they want that role so that they can finish their galaxy quests. Now this chain doesn't exist yet. Nobody can buy the token yet. So it has to, on some level, go up. Obviously, you want tokens before everybody else has it, but if you have to stand in line, it's probably best to buy the first dip on these things. But in XRP's case, they've been around since 2017. There's a lot of people that hold it. Any price movement that's going to go remotely close to the all-time high is just going to be sold because they're going to get out of the bags. So why would you buy that and hold and be the person that they're going to dump on? It makes sense to rather just focus on the newer coins. Okay, yes, it's not so easy to find the newer coins, but that is why you have us. And Gecko, Ada. I have a fundamental hatred towards Cardano. Sorry, people. Mainly because I learned my lesson in 2022 where things are focused around a cult figure. Now, Charles Hoskinson might be a theoretical technical person, like a good person, theoretically, technically good. But if you look at his history, he's known for doing shady stuff. And look, I don't care. You can have second chances, but you've been promising amazing things, and it never delivers. And everybody goes, "Oh, but the code is so amazing." I'm like, "Okay, great. Then why is there no users?" They never ever launch anything that becomes used by people. So theoretically, Cardano is a good network, yes, but nobody's using it. So I would say, up until there, you are trapped if you buy, because you're never going to see more than $3. In fact, you're never going to get up there, because every pump here is going to be sold into because people have the tokens. They want to get out of it. I mean, you can fight me on it. And I mean, in 2017 was the time to buy it, probably, because I think it was like 1 cent or something. So I literally I sold all my Cardano mainly because they are a very complicated token to stake. The wallets are updating every second day. So I ended up just taking it back to Binance, and eventually I just got annoyed and just sold. Why must I don't have time to manage their worms, and if you're gonna ride or die in one token, I don't think that is the one you need to be in. Polygon, very similar scenario. How do I get out of that Zoom? Yeah. So I mean, similarly, I sold all my Matic at the beginning of this year. Not this year, 2023, January 23. And I bought in 20. I don't know why it's not showing 2017, but I've had it since 2017, or at least accumulated it before this. So for me, I made my money and I left. And I still have some Matic in terms of functionally working on the network. But for me, you're going to be trapped. Once again, you see how these things cap out at $3. It's almost like I know Dion likes his XRP. See, that loves $3. Never more. And if you're looking at market cap also, I mean that is 30 billion. Do we really think that is going to go that high? Because if we're looking at the total market cap of the entire crypto space, then that would be zero sum or adding in new tokens. That the collective total market cap, if we take another 30 billion, it's taking it from somewhere else. I don't think the market is that giving in terms of XRP. I mean, they fought the fight. That's great. They won the case and everything. But the product does what it says on the tin for whatever price it's going to be. It doesn't have to be $3. And I, I'm not saying that it won't pump in, what do you call it, in the bull market. No, this is the same price as Cardano. Eh? What was Matic? Matic was 80 cents. Um, I'm just saying I don't think that we'll see much more then a double or a triple because of its market cap size. What we really want to be buying is, like in the under 100 million and, expecting move up to 1 billion. That's possible in the bull market, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. That's where I stand. I mean, there is so much things to do in crypto. There's a lot going on. I need to get to the other profile. Here you go. So if you look at the Cosmos network, um, this one seems to be of great jumping between. Now I must say that although I never unstaked my stuff, um, there was a point in the bear market that I questioned this one's existence because sure, it went. This one wasn't the worst of them. There was Juno that just died. But let's look at low. But I mean, in the previous bull market, we are looking at $40. It's now comfortably 10. Even this, it's not going to give you major highs, but um, to explain the Cosmos network, we need to understand that there's a lot of tokens that not tokens projects that work within there. So if you look at all the chains in the and when we say the Cosmos network, we're talking about the ecosystem, the technology of how Cosmos is built. That doesn't mean that it's the Atom token. I'm saying the Cosmos, they would call it the SDK or something, where they basically have this base that they work on. And because they have the same base, they sort of live in the same ecosystem. And there's a lot of projects that work within this. So DYDX, Celestia, which launched, XLR, Carver, Juno, Injective, Secret is there. Sadly, Luna. So Luna was also in the Cosmos network. It doesn't mean that they don't have products outside of the system, but I did a video, and if you can go watch it, you'll see how easy it is to move between the different networks, and the staking and everything is managed in this dashboard. And there are a few exceptions, so you'll see you won't see Archway here, but Archway is certainly in the same ecosystem. So you can't stake Archway within Kepler, but you can stake it on its own networks. And I think the best thing, if you do things on a lot of different crypto networks and you use bridges and stuff like that, you would appreciate something like Cosmos, because I can literally send between the networks by just going IBC send. So let's say I want to send Atom to Cosmos, not Cosmos, Osmo. I can never find it when I want it. So there's 0.7 there. So if I go 0.2, which is $2, I can just, and there it's on its way. And it's not like a normal bridge in the Ethereum space where you're paying gas fee the side, and there needs to be liquidity in the bridge and stuff like that. This is literally just moving the asset in its own sort of vacuum, and it arrives on the other side. So we'll see now if we go to osmosis. And this is the most popular DEX you want to see. So you can say, okay, that was withdrawn. But you can see Atom is here now. And if we look at the list of assets, it will show you Atom Cosmos Hub, Atom on Osmosis 0.2. Now, a lot of the reasons why people tend to focus around the Cosmos thing is because the ecosystem is building. And let's say a project doesn't want to build from the ground up. They can work on the Cosmos system and simply just add a token in. Similarly to Ethereum, but Ethereum comes with its own issues. But once you become part of the system, everything becomes easy, staking, moving funds around, and those things. So what they tend to do is that if you have previously staked in the Cosmos ecosystem, be it Injective, Celestia, Osmosis, Atom, they tend to give airdrops to the people that are there. So there is one, that's called, I don't know. The token itself is DYM. But for anyone that even staked one Celestia token before, I think it's the 9th of December or the 16th of December, they gave you 205 tokens for DYM. The proposed price is somewhere between $3 and $5. So it's, 200 times 3. So it's almost $600 to $1,000, $600 to $1,000 for staking a $16 token. So it's worthwhile. And look, at this point, obviously Celestia is quite high in terms of price, I will admit. And I missed out on the airdrop because I don't think I staked there. So for me, Celestia has probably got more upside for the year. This thing only launched somewhere last year. Basically, people got an airdrop, and let's say they were doing 1,000 tokens per person. At that point, you got $2,000. If they held on, that's a lot of money. Also, Injective had a massive run up. Now, Injective isn't the new token, but you have to look at its run up this year. What a pumping. So a lot of guys are saying they think Injective will hit $1,000. I'm not in that camp, so I'm saying, okay, $500, I'm happy with that. If we look at market cap, if we're looking at the total market cap, if we're projecting that there'll be a 4.5 trillion at a median, so or middle of the road, then we need to look that this can possibly triple. So maybe $150 for Injective. It's fine, but right now, if you have Injective, if you already have it, because I know I bought these things at like $3 or something. So for me to stake it, I just stake it and think about it. Because you'll earn more airdrops because of it. And until it's the full blown bull market, we really don't want to be getting out of it. So, and one has to remember also that to unstake it, you need 21 days. So if you're going to buy Celestia, they've got an unlock of, I think it's the 24th of October. You really want to be out of it there because their supply doubles. So when that unlock happens, most likely people are going to sell. So my thing is just get out of it in September already. Doesn't matter what the price is, just sell. We can just rebuy when it dumps. And I mean, the most unforeseen one was Solana going up. And my opinion is that with new people coming in, they're going to experience things like Ethereum, which is a very frustrating thing. If you coming in playing around $500 and your gas fee is $50 for per transaction, so buying you're gonna spend 10%. Plus you need to approve it, which is another $4 or $5. If you're doing farming, I mean, there's no point. And then when you want to sell your token, you're gonna pay another $50. Whereas in Solana, the fees are just that you don't need to think about it. The wallet is smooth. Sometimes there's a bit of slowness, but Ethereum also has slowness. The thing for me is that I think Solana is probably more likely to eat $1,000 than any one of them, and that would be the bigger growth because Bitcoin, but let's say Bitcoin reaches 120,000, that's just 3x from here. Ethereum, let's say baked into the price is $10,000. That's only 4x from here. So Solana to me is the better horse to bet on, to use a Durban phrase. Maybe we must buy ours and call it Solana. Or call it Bonk. Anyway, unless there's questions, I think that's it for this week. Unless I'm missing something. I'm hearing voices. It's Albert. Any questions, guys? I think we'll end it. Yeah, I'll close off the stream to YouTube if I can just find it. Where is it? Stop live stream. So until next week, we'll do this again next Wednesday, same time. And like I said, we'll stream it to YouTube simply because it's available instantly. I will admit I tend to not look at YouTube. So if you sending comments there, maybe we need to work on that. I'll think up something. Until next